The Sciforror Film Podcast. Hello, welcome to the Sciforror Film Podcast, the first episode of our brand new season 3. Would you believe
Season
it?
3, yeah. Who would have thought all that time ago when we first come up with it, that we'd still be going after 3 seasons?
Who'd have thunk it?
Yeah.
And you know, our viewing figures are growing by the day. We've got at least 2 people who watch us.
Yeah. Well, from what you've told us, we might actually now have 4.
Yeah, well,
Very
it's possible.
weird.
It's possible. Right. So there's changes to this season because we're going to start doing some feature films and short films. So you're going to start off doing a horror feature film and 2 short films, both of which are horror as well, actually, which I was going to try and mix them up a bit, but...
Yeah, I did think when you sent them to me, I was like, are we not mixing them up anymore? Or
Oh no, we are. It just I don't know why I picked these ones. Maybe it was just subliminal or something. So we're going to start off with the short films, and the first one of them is called Dole.
Yeah.
Dole. From 2021, it's dark urban entertainment. And this was written, directed, co-produced, edited, and stars Louis Taylor. Director of photography was Daniel Attrill, who also did the visual effects and was the other co-producer. Makeup, Sheila Kersley, and music by James Horton.
I would like to say that I would thought that whilst this is now our 3rd season, you'd be able to start reading people's names.
You'd think by now I'd learn how to read, wouldn't you? I don't know. This is 11 minutes, 44 seconds long.
Yeah, it's quite a long one for us, actually, as a short film.
A long short film.
Yeah.
Yes. So, where are we? Synopsis of this says, when Sean is awoken from his sleep, he soon realizes there is something sinister and playful lurking in the dark. Dun, dun, dun. As they say in all the best films. So, yeah,
Oh, okay.
No, I thought, yeah, it was okay. It was not a bad film. Good use of sound effects and things like that. There's some interesting camera angles, like when he's hanging over the back of the sofa.
Yeah,
things like that. That's quite interesting. There's good use of like the sound, the silence rather. Bits where the sound's not there at all.
Yeah.
Good suspense, and all that kind of thing, but it was okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I agree with you. I liked a lot of some of the camera work in it. But the lighting and sound I thought were very good. Some of the camera angles were very weird. I think it was just there were certain scenes in it of him going up and down places and having a look at places that for me just didn't need to be in it.
Yeah.
It seemed like they tried dragging it out for a lot longer than it needed to be.
Well, I mean, they built suspense quite well, but then...
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it does seem a little overlong for what it is. Yeah, one of the things I couldn't work out was he went down into the basement, came up from the basement, heard a noise down there, turned around and went back down to the basement, and all of a sudden it was dark.
Yeah, I did notice that. The fact that when he started going down, it was dark. The next shot of him actually downstairs, all the lights were on. He turned around and it was all dark again. I just did forget. I want to know how big that basement was as well. It just seemed like it went on forever.
Well, yeah, I mean, American houses, the basement is quite often the whole size of the ground floor of the building.
Oh, I know. It did seem like it just went on forever. And it just sort of, it's such a weird layout as well.
Yeah.
What I'm saying. But what I did like, though, and part of me is a bit conflicted with it. I'm not too sure if I did like it fully or if I just like the way, part of me likes it the way they did bits. The way they showed the sort of whole possession and coming to life and it running around.
Yeah.
Part of me likes, I do think it was a bit overdone, but I did like the way it was done.
It was done quite well. And I just, I think part of the other thing is the fact that I've seen the whole possessed doll thing done quite a few times now. And having watched films like Annabelle and that kind of thing, it's really difficult to watch something and think that's really good because by comparison, you know what I mean? It just doesn't quite live up to it. But it's not a bad film. It's well made and it's not. There's nothing wrong with it. The makeup was good.
Yeah, the makeup, especially as it's sort of the progression.
Yeah,
starting obviously just a nosebleed and then coming from the rest of it up to right at the end, I thought was very well done.
Yeah.
Again, though, there's another one we've watched with there's hardly, or really, there's no speech in it. All that's in it is the doll or the child laughing.
Yeah.
I was a bit confused about. I don't know whether or not I missed something or whether or not I just didn't understand it. Why he shouts at the doll after at the end of it?
I don't know. Maybe he's just frustrated with it. I don't know. But yeah, it's not a bad film. I would suggest people watch it and see what they think. You know, it's
as I say, it's not a bad film. It's got some good aspects to it. I think there's some bad things as well, but reasonably all right.
It's not bad. Not bad.
Oh.
Now, the second film is going to be something here. This is a film called The COVID Test. It's another short film from 2021. Now, this is only 1 minute, 44 seconds.
Yeah.
And this is one from our friends at Deformed Lunchbox.
Bear in mind, it really shocked me to see the fact it was only a minute long.
Yeah.
Especially if we've watched some of the ones from Deformed Lunchbox before, and it's been a good couple of minutes. The amount of stuff they put into it. But I thought, it's under 2 minutes. There's not really going to be a lot in it. But
no.
Yeah.
The crew was listed as Matt Hamilton, Carol Hatch, Marco Duran, Jeff Chapman, Denman Hatch, and the cast was Jack Hunter and Peter Hatch.
Yeah.
The synopsis says, every week Jerry has to get a COVID-19 test for his job, and he absolutely hates it. Will Jerry learn a lesson the hard way, or will Jerry learn nothing at all? Now, what did you think?
Oh, no. Now, as we said before, the Deformed Lunchbox films, I've gone through and looked through every single one of my notes when we've done the Deformed Lunchbox film. They've all got something in common, which is me writing the whole way through it. Great sound, great camera and lighting. I love the fact that it was all looked like it was all done in a tent and the whole PvP thing and stuff like that. I thought it was very good. I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. It was such a bizarre film.
Well, you know, I mean, it was well filmed, as they always are.
Yeah.
It had the oddness that they always have, and it was funny-ish in some ways, a little bit disturbing because of the fact that we all have to take these tests, and it's a bit.
See, this is the bit I think threw me as well, is because recently I've actually had to go to a centre to have a test like this done. Obviously, here they do it as you have to do it yourself. No one does it for you. And I sat there like, it really made me feel uneasy.
Yeah.
And I was like, almost the part of my brain was like, that could have been me. And I'm like, oh,
What I loved is that on YouTube, there's a note after the synopsis, which I absolutely loved, which says, "This is a fictional movie made for entertainment and does not resemble a real COVID-19 test."
I've got to admit, I have been waiting whole way through when obviously England went into lockdown first, and the whole way through all the stuff we've done, for there to be so many testers coming out. Obviously, I know there's been a feature film come out a while ago, a virus and stuff like that, which was very similar to what's gone on. But I've been waiting for like short films and people to make the most of this because of the fact that it is obviously a great way of making films is to go through your own experience.
There have been a few about sort of like, outbreaks and things. And but to be honest, as we're living through it, I don't necessarily want to watch it.
No, and that's the thing.
10 years' time when we're over it.
That's the whole thing. I sat there and like, I was a bit worried if someone had made it. I'm like, do I really want to watch it?
Yeah.
Because, we'll still be. But I don't know.
The thing about this, I've got to say, and I don't like saying this because I feel really bad saying it because I really like what they do. I don't think this is as good as the other stuff we've seen by them.
No, and I think that's one of my problems with it.
I just wonder if it was a bit too short and a bit rushed. Yeah,
see, I think that compared to their other stuff, it's been very weird and wonderful, and that's made it the fact it is because of the fact that everyone knows that I've been in sort of situations like it, obviously being hungry, but I think the whole COVID test, like you said, is if this had been done in a couple of years' time, I think it might have felt a bit differently. But I think because there's still so many countries and so many people that are going through it, and it is a bit of a touch and go subject for people.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I think it felt a bit rushed.
Yeah,
the whole film felt a bit rushed, so it was difficult for them to build it up like they did with the others. I mean, they do pack a hell of a lot into the short films they make.
Yeah,
if it was another minute or so it was nearly 3 minutes long, then it would have been. They could have built it up potentially more. It would have, I think, would have worked a bit better.
So I do love the slight little bits in it as well. Like obviously, at the end of it, when he asked if he's coming back or what's going on, the music that starts, it threw me completely because I spent ages trying to figure out what the song was.
Yeah,
like because I sat there for ages, like I know what that is, or why do I know what that is? And it was almost that point of like, is that because I've had tests? But I know what that, and it ran through my head. But it's the fact that I sat there like, I think if they had put something in between the test and that, I think would have done a little bit better. I think it is a very good film, and there is good features there. I think it just, I agree with you. It seemed like it was a lot packed in for the amount of time they've done. I think they rushed a lot of it, and if it just been, like you said, a minute longer.
Yeah, I think all of their stuff is really good. It's always really well made and really well put together. I just think maybe they could have made it a little bit longer and just kind of up a bit more, because it just felt a bit rushed. So, right, well, that's our 2 short films done.
Yeah.
Now, to start off the new season, I thought we would go classic horror. So we are
classic being
now, for anybody who hasn't seen this film, there may well be some spoilers. Okay.
I will say, if you haven't seen the film, or at least the remake.
Yeah. Well, I haven't seen the remake, so I don't know.
I have quite a few times. And that's why I was a bit curious about this film.
The film we are doing is a 1977 film, The Hills Have Eyes.
Yeah.
The Hills Have Eyes. So, yes. So, this was, as I say, 1977. It was edited, written, and directed by Wes Craven. Obviously famous for Nightmare on Elm Street, Scream, The People Under the Stairs, and dozens of other films, and he also produced the 2006 remake.
Yep.
Producer of this one was Peter Locke. Music was by Peter Locke, sorry, also produced the 2006 remake, not Wes Craven. Where are we? I've lost. Music was by Don Peake. Now, Don Peake has done loads of music for lots and lots of films. Far too many to
far too many for us to name on here.
Yeah, far too many. We could be here all week listing the films that he's done. Director of photography was Eric Saarinen, who also made helped to make Death Race 2000 in 1975. So the cast. John Stedman, he did lots of films, mostly westerns and lots of TV stuff and things like that.
Yeah.
Janice Blythe, she was in Hills of Ice 2 and Phantom of the Paradise and a few other films of note, but nothing really for us to look at. Peter Locke, who was the producer, was also in the film. But in the film, he's listed as the actor listed as Arthur King. There you go. Russ Grieve, who also did lots of TV and only a few films, but nothing really of note for us. Virginia Vincent did lots of TV, and she was in The Return of Dracula in 1958. Susan Lanier did lots of TV, and she's still doing TV stuff. But again, nothing that really covers us now. Then Dee Wallace. Now, Dee Wallace did lots of TV, but she was also in The Howling in 81, E.T. in 82, Cujo in 83, Critters in 86, Alligator 2: The Mutation in 1991, The Frighteners in 96, Halloween in 2007, The House of the Devil in 2009, and Three from Hell in 2019. And she's still acting. So there you go. Brenda Marinoff, who hasn't been in anything else, but she played the baby. So, you could kind of excuse that. Maybe she didn't go into acting.
Yeah.
Older. Robert Houston, he's done a few films, some TV stuff, and he went on to direct and make documentaries and things like that. Martin Spear did lots of TV.
Yeah.
And sort of thing. James Whitworth did some TV and some small films. Then we have the next person, who was Michael Berryman.
Yes.
Michael Berryman was in Doc Savage, Man of Bronze in 1975. Did some TV. Then he was in Voyage of the Rock Aliens in 84. Hills of Ice 2, Weird Science, My Science Project, Star Trek 4, Saturday the 14th Strikes Back, Beastmaster 2, The Devil's Rejects, The Lords of Salem, Army of the Damned, Death House, Shed of the Dead, and many more coming up.
Yeah, he's Michael Berryman. I've spoken it. He's a very obvious actor to spot.
Oh yes,
even in his younger days. But
I'm sure most people will have seen him in something.
Yeah, this man. Sorry, for acting wise, he's pretty much the go-to for horror films, I would say.
Yeah.
If he hasn't done it, it's probably not worth making a film like it.
Then you have Lance Gordon, who did some TV and some more movies, nothing really we're looking for. Cordy Clark, more TV and movies, nothing particular to do with us. And then, of course, we have the dogs. Beauty was played by Flora and Beast was played by Stryker.
Yeah.
Apparently so. But there we go. That's the rundown of that. Synopsis says, on the way to California, a family has the misfortune to have their car break down in an area closed to the public and inhabited by violent savages ready to attack. The poster has a thing on it. It says, a nice American family they didn't want to kill, but they didn't want to die.
Yeah, just...
This is a classic film. It is a,
Yeah, it is a very classic film.
Yeah.
It's one with certain bits that haven't aged well with certain language that's used in it.
Yeah, true. That's true.
For the time, it was a very appropriate. It wasn't appropriate, but it was used.
Yeah, it reflects the time it was made.
Yeah, I would say I was a bit even though it's a horror film, I was a bit shocked for a lot of 70s films. There wasn't any sort of scantily clad women in it.
No, there wasn't any nudity anywhere.
Yeah, I know that, Sam. I know that obviously the type of film probably not appropriate anyway, but there wasn't any. There wasn't even like sort of.
I think there was something that really came in more in the late 70s and 80s. But it was kind of more the films that had a bit more money thrown at them that did that, which is bizarre.
Yeah.
But what got me was the fact that from 1977 film, which was actually, it wasn't made on a huge budget, but the quality of the film, even after all this time, the quality of the filming is still really good.
There's a few little moments with the editing where it's a bit jumpy. Again, I put that down to a lot of, for the timing of the film, it wasn't as easy to as it is nowadays.
Yeah, especially because that time they were using real film, so it's very expensive. So if you make a mistake, you can't go back and recut it.
You're not going to be able to redo it because it costs a lot for the film.
Yeah,
and the thing, like we said, like nowadays, obviously you do it digitally, it's a lot easier, but it still worked very well.
Yeah, it does. I was really surprised. One of the things that really surprised me about this film, because I've got to absolutely say, hand on heart here, now, up until I watched this for this review, I've never seen the film.
See, I'd never seen this version.
I'd never seen even the remake. It's one of those films that's always been on my list of films to watch.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, 1977, I was, let me think, I was 14.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't legally have been able to get into a cinema to see this film.
No, that's the thing, is the fact that what I liked about this is the fact that obviously, mainly I do like, obviously I love a lot of Wes Craven.
Yeah.
Like I said, his films speak for themselves on a lot of things. And I think, like you said, it didn't have a big budget compared to a lot of the other films he's done. You look at the sort of his next film that he done after this had a much bigger budget.
Well, this was one of the first major films he did. Before this, he'd done Last House on the Left, which had a really, really low budget. Before that, he'd been working for Roger Corman. So, but the opening scene, I think the title sequence was quite interesting because it was very quiet.
Yeah. I did notice that.
It was a very kind of flowing shot and very quiet, so you don't know what to expect from it. But I think the opening scene when they're in the gas station, with the old guy and the strange girl from the family, that kind of sets the scene well for the whole film, because you kind of get a bit of background but not too much. But you know that this is a weird family and there's some weird stuff going on.
You don't really get any background on the family until at halfway through.
Yeah.
And even then it's a very jumbled up sort of...
I mean, if you take what they talk about at the beginning, when it's the guy and the daughter from the family, and when he's in there with the dad from the family that break down, then you kind of have an idea of what's going on. But,
it's the same. I will say, for a lot of it, 90% of it, or actually 95% of it, is all outside.
Yeah,
is open air, and the fact that the video quality and the lighting of it, to be able to see it, especially in the nighttime shots and stuff like that, and a lot of the shots in the cliffside, I thought were very well done. Yeah.
So there we are. They're in the petrol station. The family turn up there. They're trying to find somewhere that the dad's inherited from someone in the family, but it's now part of of an area that's sealed off by the Air Force, and the guy, this old guy at the petrol station says only there are animals and all this kind of stuff. What I would say is they all come out of the car and they come out of the back of the caravan they've got. The guy with the moustache, that's the one that's married to Dee Wallace, the guy with the moustache, he looks like he's in the wrong film. He looks like he should be in a 1970s porno movie.
The thing, I watched this. I watched this before, and I watched it with Amy, and she sat there, and I looked at her, and I was like, "But you can't guess what era this film." Because she just as he come up on the screen, he's very 70s.
Yeah, but I mean, he does. He looks like
Yes,
he looks like he should be. He should be turning up at somebody's house and saying, "I'm here to clean your pool, ma'am." You know.
Yeah, it's just such a. It did look, and I don't think it helped with the way that he acted on.
Especially not wearing those shorts.
No, not the denim ones. No.
The denim shorts look ridiculous. And he's not that tall either, so just
no. The problem is that all I could think of, and this says mainly it says a lot for me, I watched a lot of the Big Bang Theory TV, and that's all I could think of was like Howard that's in it, is growing up on the stuff. When he does it when they come back, and that's all I could think of. I was trying so hard not to laugh at it.
But I can't believe this family are moving to California, right? And they're driving across country, and they're driving through the dad from the family used to be a police officer.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know what the mum does. I can't remember if they actually say what the mum does.
She's a very religious fanatic.
Right. So you got the dad used to be a police officer. There's a married couple and two teenage kids, right?
Yeah.
They are so naive. All of them.
Yeah.
Don't seem to have a clue what's going on in the real world at all.
Especially when the teenage son, the way that was bits later on when they sort of disperse and look around, it seemed almost like he had a bit of military training or was interested in the military sort of style, the way he did with things. Yeah, I do agree with you. It's very naive, very, I don't know, just weird.
They just don't seem to have a clue what's going on at all. Then they kind of they're going along, and they kind of there's the usual sort of arguments going on in the car and that sort of thing. Then the dad gets all angry about it. Some reason the map they're looking at goes flying in the air and gets wrapped around his face, which he had trouble getting off, and that sort of thing. And then all of a sudden there's a rabbit in the road.
Oh, the dramatic shot of the rabbit. I had to pause the video. I laughed. I was like, the problem is that, again, like, because the films we've watched, all I could think of was like killer rabbits and stuff like that. It was just the sudden shot and the sudden dramatic music.
Yeah, it was really dramatic. It was like, it's a rabbit.
But the thing is, after when they crashed, I was like, did the rabbit that caused them to crash? Or was it
he tried to steer off the side of the road and steer away from the rabbit because he would run it over, so he crashed. Yeah. What I didn't understand, though, is when they crashed, they were being watched by one of the family.
Yeah.
He watched the family as they came out and sort of like milled around and that sort of thing. And then he drew something in the dirt.
Yeah.
Him with his hand, but I couldn't see clearly what the hell it was he drew. And then he messed it all up with his fingers so that he couldn't see it. And I thought, what's that?
Guessing from what he was saying, he was trying to draw a picture of the young Dole.
Okay.
But I'm not, I obviously don't quote me on that, anyone. I have no idea. I'm guessing by what he was saying. But I don't know. It did seem very weird.
So then they sort of like discuss what they're going to do and all that sort of thing. And Dee Wallace goes into the caravan and finds this absolutely enormous bloody spider in there that somehow has got into the caravan and up onto the seating and on top of the stuff that was laying there in about sort of a minute.
Yeah.
Where the hell did it come from?
The thing is, it's not like as well that at that point the dogs have been out there of the trailer that long. So but it did seem very weird. But even the way that she disposed of it,
it
picked
was
it on the
very
floor, then
dramatic.
stamped on it, and then picked it up and threw it out the window.
Yeah,
I'm like, what if you were brave enough to pick it up?
why don't you throw it out the door? Why don't you throw it out the door? But what I loved about it as well, because it was that sort of typical, and I don't think this was the first film it happened in, but it's kind of like that typical horror film thing where we're going to try and find out where we are and get some help. So the obvious thing to do is to split up.
Yeah.
Because that always is a good idea.
Not only split up, but split up just as it's getting dark.
Yeah. Split up and wander off into the middle of the desert just as it's getting dark.
What I think is funny as well, right, is the fact that, yes, okay, the dad of the family that broke down was an ex-cop. As they kept pointing out, he did have a heart condition.
Yes.
And he didn't look the fittest of people.
No.
Yet the whole family, even the person he sent off in the other direction, were quite happy for him to do a 14-mile walk
quite happy
away from the family and back, while he sent the younger, fitter person 6 miles.
Yeah, obviously. Right, well, you would.
I sounded like I would do that the other way round.
But they walk off those two, Porno Man and the detective with the heart.
Yeah.
The others settle down for some dinner or some tea and have a little bit of a laugh and a joke about things. I don't get it. And then one of the dogs, Beauty, runs off.
Yeah.
And what I loved was the fact that the young man runs after it. He runs so weirdly.
Well, we runs really up and back down as well afterwards, which I was.
The thing that got me was he was running, kind of blindly running, and he runs blindly into a dead end.
Yeah.
In the middle of somewhere that he's got no idea where he is or where he's going.
Or what's around him. Bear in mind, his mum gets out, their mum gets out of the thing, and even the old boy that they talk to in the garage says there's wild animals, there's dangerous things there.
Yeah. Don't
come off the main road. Like you said, he blindly runs off after a dog who is a German Shepherd Alsatian. They're notorious for looking after themselves.
Yeah.
So would have run away, but run blindly into this desert bush sort of thing, and knowing what the hell was there.
The thing that got me as well is when he eventually finds the dog and finds out it's been killed.
Yeah,
he just kind of disappears then for about half an hour. He kind of like, why didn't? And when they do find him, you just kind of like, why don't you tell them about the dog?
Yeah, it was even when he says it, he says a bit later, it's like, I was scared. Like, what? That they think it was you? It's like,
you come back and you turn around and say, I found the dog. It's dead. Looks like it's been attacked by an animal.
Yeah. It looked like it'd been attacked. Oh, maybe we should be a bit more wary. But keep it to yourself.
Yeah. And
what I did love though was the fact that obviously before that the dog's barking all the time.
Yeah.
And the fact that none of them clock as well, which I think's a bit quite funny, is the fact that they say about the other one, Beast.
Yeah.
That only barks when it's then about to go for the kill. The shot goes to the dog who is barking away, and I'm like, none of you are clocked that this dog's agitated. The one that you're saying only barks when it knows that it's in danger when there's something there. None of you have clocked.
There's a great shot when they go inside. There's a great shot of the baby, and the baby looks absolutely freaked out. It's kind of like, oh my God, what's going on?
I did love that, and the fact that the whole way through this film, when they were doing shots of the baby, especially when it's in the crib sort of thing, which I thought was hilarious where it was. The fact that this sort of baby every now and again looking around, and it obviously looked at the guy with the camera and gone, oh! And it's like, oh my God, every single time.
So then, of course, Dee Wallace and Porno Man comes back and he's found some wire and some other bits and pieces, which are not really going to do them much good at all. But hey,
no.
But of course, what happens then with with the dad missing because he hasn't come back and they're worried about him? Both dogs by now have run off.
Yep.
Although the young guy knows that one of them's dead, but the others, as far as the other's concerned, they think that they're both missing. So with that going on, with the dad missing and the two dogs missing, Porno Man and Dee Wallace decide to go and have sex in the back of a broken car.
Yeah, with the axle broken. Again, I would like to reiterate, not only is the dad missing, the dad with a heart condition is missing in the middle of nowhere. And their next step is to let's go and sleep in the broken car. They didn't get the when they're interrupting.
Yeah. Yes.
And it's just like, what?
So I mean, yeah. I don't know. So then it's now pitch black.
Yeah.
And the thing. And the young lad is a complete twat again because he decides to go running off again aimlessly into the dark. For no particular reason. And then by then Michael Berryman and one of the other guys are there, and Michael Berryman's got into the caravan.
Into the caravan.
Into the caravan. Now, interestingly though, Michael Berryman says do it, and they set fire to the dad.
Before we get to that bit, I would like to say that Dad obviously gets to the back to the gas station. Back to the gas station, talk to the guy, find out a bit more about the family and the fact that the old guy's their granddad and all that. Then decides to run back, which again, what I want to know is when he first turned up, it is pitch black. He's holding a torch which isn't on. Then turns it on when he's in the lit room.
Yeah.
Then has a go at the person that he's just saved from trying to hang himself. Doesn't ask why he's trying to do it, by the way. Just starts having a go at him.
True, yeah.
Then gets told the story. And then doesn't even call for help. He runs back to the family. And it's just like, the whole reason why you were there was to do all that. You don't ask him that. You just, and it's just like,
the old guy gets killed by the family. Yeah,
that was a very dramatic way that was done.
But so they set fire to the dad.
Yeah.
Right? Now the thing that gets me is everybody goes, "Oh my god!" and they all start running off over to where it is. The mum wakes up. Now she's in the bedroom part of the caravan with the teenage daughter, right? Yeah. She wakes up, she gets up and she goes out of the caravan. Okay.
Yep.
All this time, Michael Berryman's character is laying on top of the girl. How did she not see him?
Yeah, I would say this. I would like to say that as well. For anyone who doesn't know who Michael Berryman is, he's a very, very big person. Not like sort of at this point, not built stature-wise, but very, very tall.
He's tall, yeah.
Yeah. So it would have been very obvious to see.
And with a bald head.
Bald head.
Dark, I think.
And a very, very shiny knife, I would like to add as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how she didn't get to...
Well, as well as the fact that the explosion wakes up the mum.
Yeah.
They all go running out. The porno tash man turns around and says to the young girl that's in there, calls to her, doesn't worry once why she hasn't woken up, even though the mum heard it further away.
Yeah.
And then runs out as well.
So Dee Wallace's character goes into the caravan and Michael Berryman attacks them and the other one comes in and they have a big fight, blah, blah, blah. And she gets killed. She gets shot. Dee Wallace's character gets shot.
Yep.
Now, when they come back to the caravan, I hate to say this, but Porno Man, he doesn't seem to be too upset with the fact that his wife is now dead. Or the mother.
No, I did notice that. He did seem to go and try to cuddle the younger one very quickly.
And none of them seem to be overly bothered about the fact that the dad is basically dead.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. The mum
He's been burnt alive. Oh, the mum goes into a slightly catatonic state, yes, but nobody else seems overly bothered.
Slightly hysterical state, giggling and laughing to herself, saying it's not my fault.
Yeah. But nobody else seems to be overly bothered by it all.
I would like to say as well, all of the deaths in this, the family don't seem that interested in, especially the young boy when he walked into the cabin and sees his sister shot and dead. His mum's shot, looks in the caravan and goes, "Oh dear." Like, you're not that upset about the fact you just lost 3 members of your family and your niece is missing.
Yeah. I mean, Porno Man goes off to try and save his daughter and he finds Beast.
Yeah.
They kind of team up and double team the family a bit.
Oh, that sounds like a really dodgy porno now. Porno and Beast.
He has a fight with a couple of them and that sort of thing. And the daughter of the freak family come to their aid and kind of like help them.
Yeah.
It struck me that they all seemed to be, between there and the end, they all seemed to be very quick to forgive and forget the fact that she was part of this family. They kind of accept.
Yeah, I did. There was even the shot at the end, even. Very much the sort of zoom in shot of them holding hands.
Yeah, I know, it's a bit weird.
I would say as well, the only member of either family that seemed to actually care that one of them had died was actually the girl Ruby, the one for like the cannibal killer family.
Yeah,
was actually more upset the fact that she put a rattlesnake on her brother.
Yeah.
She seems to be the only one that actually bothered to show any emotion.
One of the weirdest things for me was the fact that the mum dies, so they put her in a chair as some bait for the weird family, and then blow her up, and then celebrate the fact that they've blown up their own dead mother.
Yeah,
that's a little bit odd. I don't know. It's a bit, and then I mean the ending was okay. It felt a little bit quick.
I would like to add as well that I do this quite a lot, mainly because I ride a motorcycle, so I check the fuel now. But I do it when I get on my bike. So most people I know that own cars, especially ones of that time where it's very obvious where the fuel gauge is, would have checked that first.
Oh, the fuel gauge, yeah.
Because the fact obviously they have this plan, they set into motion, but stops halfway through because they've run out of fuel.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, would you not check that first, just to make sure that you don't sit and go, yeah, we'll do this plan.
Well, no, I mean, yeah, I think it would have. Yeah, I don't know,
but I do agree. The ending to it was a very bizarre, quick forgive and forget.
Yeah.
I suppose it as well is the fact that obviously the second one, I haven't seen the second one. I've seen the second of the remake, which is weird, but I haven't seen the second one of this, so I don't know whether or not it leads on to the next film.
From what I can work out, that the second film is that the daughter and the daughter of the freak family and the daughter of the family that crashed are amongst a group of people. This is like a few years later.
Oh, okay.
They're amongst a group of students who decide to go to this place.
Because
they're on their way somewhere else, or they I can't remember. They go somewhere else or whatever. But they decide to go to this place to visit the area that this happened, because it's now become a big thing, a big story that everyone knows about. And when they get there, they kind of relive some of the stuff that's gone on, and not all the family are dead and things like that. So some of it's told in flashback.
It just seems very weird to me, the fact that as well, and the thing is that I would like to add as well is the fact that they blow up the caravan.
Yeah.
It's very easily to tell the fact it's done with gas. I would like to know where they got the 4 gas bottles
Well,
from.
they obviously would have had gas bottles for the journey, but I don't know,
Yeah.
where they keep the 4.
Yeah, but
It certainly weren't in the
obviously,
back of the
again,
car.
they blow it up, and the young boy stupidly runs off again. But
Well, to make sure that the guy
runs to make sure the guy's actually dead, which they're all that. But the fact that they blow up the caravan and the car,
yeah,
does make me wonder whether or not any of them thought, how are we going to get out of here?
yeah, I do.
Just in case.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I don't know how they got out unless they made their way to the RAF base. And
Yeah, but it's just the RAF base, which was a very weird, as on the map it said RAF base and nuclear testing facility.
Yes, obviously.
Which, if that was true, you wouldn't have been able to get anywhere near that area.
No, no.
You wouldn't have been able to walk around it anyway.
I mean, there are some elements to it that are a bit dated.
Yes.
There are some elements that kind of are a bit silly or don't quite work brilliantly as far as the plot goes and things like that. But overall, I would still say it's a good film.
I think for me, it fit with with a lot of 70 films I watched. I spent a long time with a little bit of with the story that goes on, and then all of the sort of action bit seems to happen all at once, right near the end.
Yeah. No, it's true.
But again, I think it's a good film. Parts of it are dated. Part of it haven't sort of gone through the test of time, really.
Yeah.
Certain things. Like we said, the actual the actual workings of it, like the camera work, the sound, the lighting, some of the acting as well, I think is very, very well done. And some of it is actually ahead of its time.
Yeah.
The way they've done things. Definitely sees where it was one of Wes Craven's very first films. Yeah. I think you can definitely see with the way that he went on in his career, where he was sort of doing better with the lessons that he had learned.
Yeah.
But it's a good film. I'm not too sure whether or not I would go back and watch it again. I'm glad that I have watched it.
I think it's worth a watch.
Oh, it's definitely worth a watch. I'm not too sure whether or not I'd watch it again.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Compared to the remake that I've seen of this, it is a very different. It's still the same story, but it's very differently told.
Yeah,
and I think this one, as bizarre as it is a bit more family friendly compared to the remake. But,
yeah, well, it doesn't surprise me. I mean,
yeah, but
it's the same thing we said with Halloween, wasn't it?
Yeah. For its time when it was done, it probably was a very good film. It would have shocked a lot of people when it first came out because of the type of state away that it was.
Yeah, I mean, the thing was, up until then, this sort of thing hadn't been done.
Yeah,
and this was just before the sort of the start of the real kind of slasher stuff and all that sort of thing. So
yeah,
it was really kind of would have been quite shocking.
And so it is a good film. Like I said, I think there's certain bits that haven't lasted like sort of test of time, but
yeah,
other than that, I don't think there's any problem with this really. I do think it's a good film.
It's a good film.
I definitely think it's worth it. Like you said, like you've done, it's a checklist of the bucket list of ones that you should watch.
Yeah,
before
a film you could at some point watch, even if just to say you've done it.
Yeah, as I said, I think it's a good film to have on your sort of checklist to say you've watched.
Yeah, it's worth watching at least once.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, there you go. That's The Hills Have Eyes from us. I've got to say, next week I think we're going to do a science fiction feature, but we're going to have a mix-up of the
horror and sci-fi short films. Yes.
Yeah. We do have 2 interviews.
Yeah.
Done this year. We're going to be interviewing Nate Thompson about his cult affairs and cult leader short films.
I was going to say about. Hopefully, you were going to. I was really hoping you were going to say film and not just his cult affairs.
Yeah, and we're also going to have an interview with somebody or some people from Deranged Lunchbox. It's a matter of setting it up because they're in Toronto, so it's a time thing. But yeah,
I'll quite happily stay up until whatever time I have to, if I need be. I want to talk to these guys. Even if it is just to find out if they're okay, because
yeah. So that's what we'll be doing. As I say, next week we have a sci-fi feature.
Yes,
and some shorts. We'll have a couple of a mix, maybe a sci-fi and a horror short and things like that. This is George. For those of you that don't know George, say hello, George. Hello. George is my companion and bear cub.
Yeah, I was going to say he's not a cat. Their cat is way too big to be a cat.
So there you go. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, Scott, for everything.
All right.
And we will see you again next week. Okay. Bye.
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 That's who the third voice has been. It's always been George.
The Sciforror Film Podcast.